Hello and welcome to another episode of Ask SoulBird. My name is Roberta Awkward and I'm here to serve up another answer, or rather an exploration, to a topic that is very, very dear to my heart. So today I'm going to continue the conversation that we started that was rooted about the medicine wheel. Today I'd actually like to explore and assist you, giving inspiration and potential pathways, how you might connect with specific spirit allies that are in this three-dimensional world. That, of course, as I always say, every single thing that has a physical part to it also has an energetic counterpart. So always remember this. Physical counterpart will always have the opposite side, which is a spiritual counterpart, an energetic one. Now, this is one way that we can navigate the realms of physicality with spirituality, the invisible with the visible. We can look at items, we can look at organs, we can look at chairs, we can look at plants, we can look at drums, we can look at anything. Take absolutely anything in your circle, and when we see it for just its physical components, we're missing half the picture, if not a much larger part than just half the picture. And so when we learn to read and to see and to feel the energetic counterparts, then actually we are truly having a deep conversation with the circle that surrounds us. So I want to begin with an example of my own, of how I have built a solid, strong, personal, unique relationship with one of my spirit allies. Now, I want to share this as inspiration for you. What I feel most deeply is important in these times particularly is to activate your own creativity, to activate your own unique way of approaching the world. And as I've said in previous videos, this isn't about expelling the elders or the wise ones from our circle and saying, I know best, this is the way that I do it and this is the right way. No, everything in balance. It's the knowing that we are both wise and both very young. we have access to huge amounts of information. That doesn't necessarily mean that we all know what to do with that information. But when we sink in to our most creative parts of the soul, of the self, of the humanness, because, let's not demonize what it is to be human. To be human is also to have a consciousness and an intelligence, to have a body. We are also acknowledging not that, we are just, people like to emphasize that we are, how is it put usually, that we are a soul in a skin outfit. And I find that is true, yes, but it almost feels like this is spoken with a sense that we are placing the body beneath the spirit and soul. And in my way of understanding my world, there is no hierarchy with what comes above something else. Yeah, the body has an intelligence, and when in this conversation, when we learn to build a bridge between us and the item, the thing, the body, the drum, the plant, when we build that bridge towards that item, person, organ, spirit, in any form it is, then we deepen that connection. And, so I know I've drifted off topic already. The body has wisdom, and the spirit has wisdom, and the soul has wisdom. they are all on the circle, equal in their wise ways. It is up to us as individuals to craft ways of how do you want to build your relationship with that particular spirit. So let me start finally with my own connection to a great spirit ally of mine, and that is Grandmother Spider. I have many root points of when she first arrived in my life, but I will start with my early experiences of spiders were never pleasant. They were never welcomed. I grew up fearing them. I did not like it when they were around. I was scared, as a lot of people are of spiders, and for good reason. You know, there are spiders that in our physical bodies we will have memories of them being poisonous, harmful, painful. And for other reasons, a lot of people are frightened of insects. They have the alien type form. They have that insectoid form, which we find quite, it reflects that otherness. You know, insects are very, very different in their physiology, in their ways that they look, in their ways that they present themselves to us as humans, which are soft, curved, rounded. Often we forget to actually see the similarities in our physiology that are very, very similar to insects. And again, they are part of our family. And so I've taken quite a long journey to making peace with this particular insect, the spider. But I have made it, and I've made it through shamanic journeying. I've made it through making peace also with the physical insect in this three-dimensional world. So one thing that I would always encourage you to do, that if you are connecting with a particular spirit on your shamanic journey, always seek, if you are able to, seek the actual animal in your physical reality, somewhere, somehow. And more often than not, if you are connecting to a particular spirit form on the energetic level, it will find you. And so even if you're trying to avoid that particular animal spirit, they will find ways of presenting themselves to you. And this, of course, is exactly what happened to me time and time again. And so I found the more I deepened my relationship with the spirit of spider, the more that spider showed up for me in my life. So the more I had spiders around my house, the more I had them in my studio upstairs, the more I saw them outside. And I was seeing not just one type of spider, but many. And this also highlighted for me that, you know, we can generalize far too much about what a particular animal spirit means. And, you know, I'm all for the creatives, the seers, the mystics, the muses that have brought through information from the dream time to share with the world what their perception of a particular spirit ally means. But, and it's a big but, that is not the whole picture. Please never stop at the end of the page that, you know, on Google, where you've read what does the spirit of spider mean. Never stop there. If you have chosen to read it, then great. That's part of your reality. That's part of your journey. Maybe you needed to read something, one word, one sentence on that particular website, where it will spur you into a new way of interacting with that spirit. But take it further. Always go deeper. Go deeper. Always. Full stop. And more than taking on someone else's view, try to activate your own understanding your own relationship to the symbolism, and in each and every moment, ask yourself, so in this instance, what does the spirit of spider mean to me in this moment? This is the art of being the oracle and reading the oracle. And from one day to the next, the spirit of spider may bring different meanings, different symbolism. And this is where the richness, the beauty of life, of your life, comes into play. Yeah? Back to my personal story. The ways that I have deepened my relationship with spider is spending time watching and witnessing spider in ordinary reality. And when I say ordinary reality, I'm talking about the middle world. That is this three-dimensional world where both the energetic and the physical cross over. It's where we have both realms in one. So those people who walk between the worlds are interacting with both the physicality of life, as well as seeing, feeling, and sensing the energetics of that physical item that you're engaging with. So number one, connect with the physical animal. For me, it was watching spiders in my garden, watching the spiders weave their webs in my house. And, so many people will commonly clean up, sweep up those spider webs in your home. And for me, it was a case of, why don't you just leave those spider webs exactly where they are? Because there is a divine intelligence about those particular spirits that have also engaged with my life, and they have chosen to weave their way into my world. And so if I am busy trying to sweep their webs up and say, don't make your home there, that's me going, I'm blocking up against them and I'm saying, no, I don't want you in my life. Get out. And right now, actually from my heart, it's that I want to welcome more of you into my life. Not that I want my house covered in spiders. I'm not saying that I'm ready to accept them sleeping in my bed, scuttling over my body. There are still elements of me that have resistance to them. And that's okay. That is okay. This is a journey of learning and listening and witnessing and evolving. And who knows, spiders might look at humans exactly the same way and wish that we were out of their space. Anyway, so it was a case of witnessing the beauty. And I'll repeat that, witnessing the beauty of those spirits in physical form. Witnessing their webs, and actually if you've ever taken a really close look at webs, the way they catch the light, the way that sometimes they reflect a kind of rainbow, they embody those colours of pinks and purples and blues and greens, and just how incredible those spiders are as architects, as creators of worlds. They are master weavers. And this is one of the main lessons that Grandmother Spider has always taught me. And that is about weaving. That is about weaving worlds. And the reflection that Grandmother Spider always brings to me is that we are the creator. We are the creator of the worlds that we weave, particularly in our mental mind space. We're the master of that. We are the manifester. We are the weaver. And so it is about taking responsibility for what we allow into our minds and what we build upon from that. So if you allow a negative thought in, which is perfectly fine, we're not demonizing that, it happens. It is experienced because we are human. We are not void of emotion. So if that thought comes in, it is then within our responsibility to take a step back, to witness that thought, and to allow the space of recognition to blossom, and to realize that we now have the opportunity to weave more of that thought into being, or we have a way of dismantling with our weave the untruths. And what do I mean by that? With every truth, there is a half truth. And so what I mean by that is that thought that you have had that has found its way into your mind, it is for us to recognize that we are not made of that thought. We do not need to identify so deeply with it that we begin to think that we are it. The negative thought forms within us need to find ways to untangle themselves and disperse. And so when we allow the web of this thought to keep building, and that the web gets wider and wider and wider, well, that is just taking up space, both physical space and energetic space in our mind, and then starts to expand into other areas of our body, which is not helpful for our healing path. And then we can get tangled in other webs, and then, we're on a never-ending negative cycle where we keep going over the same things because we get caught in our own weaving web. Now, this is how you can look at webs as being from the negative perspective, but webs can also be positive. Remember that there can be the opposite end of that spectrum. We can weave webs of peace, of love, of healing within us. And all it needs is a tiny seed for something to blossom, to be built upon. So, returning back to my story of Grandmother Spider, on how I have built a good relationship, a strong relationship. Number one, as I've said, witnessing spiders in their natural environment. See what their cycles are. What do they eat? When do they eat? When do they build their webs? How long does it take for them to build their webs? And when do they dismantle it? Have you ever seen a spider dismantle their own web? And second to this, I have personally gone on a journey of physically making webs. Now, you'll recognize what I'm about to show you as rooted in the Native American culture, because you'll recognize this as a dream catcher of sorts. Now, let me just grab this one. So I'm about to show you, I'm going to explain what it is first before I show you what it is, so that you witness it with the eyes of respect, because this was created in ceremony and is used for ceremonial purposes. And as with all sacred objects, to witness anything made with the hands of spirit through the body of the physical human being, it is something to be held in reverence, not to be worshipped, but rather to bring into a space of heart space witnessing, to see without judgment. So, as I have said, you will know of the dream catcher. And you will also know from looking at me that I am not Native American. Now, my journey with spirit items and power objects are rooted in my own communication with the spirits and spirit, and the guidance that I've had from spirit and spirits. And so I recognize that some people may well feel that actually it is not for certain westernized people to craft and to create certain power objects without the prior passing down of that wisdom from the direct source of those original cultures. Now, I'm not here to argue or to craft separations between us, but what I do want to say is that every single item that I have created with the support of spirit has been made from the heart. It has not been made from a place of I want to take that as my own, replicate it and make some kind of money or shallow benefit from it. No, every single item that I have crafted is made because I have a relationship with it, that I have a relationship with the story behind the object. Now, in this instance, it's not that I have a relationship with the Native American culture or the dream catcher. And, you know, in many ways, I wouldn't even call this a dream catcher because it wasn't made with the same values and beliefs of the Navajo, for instance. But it was made with my own ideas, my own spiritual lessons, my own physical experience of life. So here is the item that I use for what I refer to as extraction work. This is when we find ourselves with energetic object intrusions in our field, which may well be thought forms. It could be belief systems. It could be things, item, and even spirits in our bodily space, outside or within it. Now, when I am working with clients, I'm working to remove those object intrusions. And one of my greatest allies for assisting me with that work is Grandmother Spider, who is also the creator of worlds. And one day I was overwhelmed with this, it was like a calling from inside me, deep inside my heart, to start weaving. Now, you can see if I place that against my hair, you'll see it better. This item was what was created as a result of that soul calling. And as you see, I'm not a master craftsman. I am not a master weaver. But what I am, as we all are, a master weaver of our worlds. And this was a dream that came to me. And that dream was calling me so deeply that it needed to be made manifest. And so this is where this item came into being. If you take away any prior understandings, any prior projections on what you have seen this form look like before, for instance, as a dream catcher, and therewith all of your perceptions on what a dream catcher is, if you can take a moment and just witness, what does it look like to you? Why would an object like this be made? What could it be used for? Is it just for beauty? Is it just to be hung on your wall? Is it a fairy tennis racket? It could be anything. And this is also what I want to bring to the conversation and to the inspiration on this. And that is that you are the one that assigns meaning to your life. And we can take great inspiration from other people, other ways, other ancient ways, other new ways. Whatever is in your circle that crosses your path, you are the one that assigns deep meaning. Metaphor and symbol can only be interpreted through your heart. And when you are able to reach a point where you assign meaning and start crafting and creating, not necessarily, I'm not saying you need to go out and suddenly make one of these, but if you find yourself in a position where you are called to make something, and maybe you don't even know why you're making it, I would gently encourage you to trust in that inner calling and to know that there will be a particular purpose that will make itself known to you. And I would love to hear from you if you are interested in hearing more about how to work with power objects such as these, such as this one. It is the only one of its kind. And if you are interested, I will be pondering upon crafting a course. I would much prefer to be doing this in person so that we could sit in circle around the fire, even if it is a metaphorical, symbolic fire, if we are unable to light a large one, and to speak on the topic of how to take care of items that are made through the inspiration of spirit, of the muse, through the guidance of spirits and spirit, because this is a topic that I think we don't talk about enough. And this doesn't even need to be just the reference of making power objects. It is about how we take care of our plants. How do we take care of our drums? Have we recognized that all of the items in our world actually need to be recognized as separate beings to ourselves? And therewith, how we treat our drums, how we treat our plants, also has a reflection in other areas of our life. So you will find that there will be mirrors between your relationship to your drum, to your plants, to your homemade objects, and the way that you treat or are treated by the people, the animals, the world at large that surrounds you. The reflection is there. The art is in seeing it. So I would love to bring this into a deeper conversation, into a course, into a workshop, into an exploratory place in ceremony. So please let me know if you are interested, and I will keep talking. I will keep rambling about about these things on YouTube, and hope that you find inspiration in maybe one word or one sentence in something that I'm sharing, and inspire you to step more deeply into relationship with the spirits, with spirit, and with items, to honor them for what they truly are. So, as I tend to do and drift off topic, this was made to also honor my relationship to Grandmother Spider, to the spirit of Spider. And that is because, sorry, as I'm talking, there's a fly that's spiders whizzing around the room, almost teasing me like I am the spider and saying, "You won't catch me with that tiny net." Anyway, I'm not intending on catching the fly with this net. Anyway, so the way in which I've developed a deeper relationship is in crafting something that is very similar. Obviously, this is nowhere near the craftsmanship of an actual spider, but this is my human way of connecting with the actual art, the act of weaving with thread round a particular form, a particular boundary, and with that arriving at this center point. And you can see here there is a wooden bead, and this wooden bead has great meaning to me, which I won't go into now, but it has a story attached to it. And of course, as you can see, it's found at the center, and most commonly you will often find the spirit of spider and the physical spider of our world centering themselves here. And they await. They await to see what gets caught in their web. And a spider has such patience about it. And so one of the greatest lessons also that I have learnt is in waiting, witnessing, watching, and staying here at this center point. Not straying, but staying in the center point of my life's web, keeping things in balance. So, to summarize again, how have I connected with the spirit of spider? By watching them in the three-dimensional world. By crafting a power object called through my soul, drawn through my soul's calling, bringing it into physical reality, made manifest, my own web. And there were great lessons in this one and the many others that I have made since, that they obviously don't look like this. They're all different and for different purposes. But there have been many lessons from learning how to weave this particular pattern, and also recognizing that there is no one web that ever looks the same. And so there's a lovely reflection in this crafting, in this creation, that is honoring the similarities between us, but also the differences. Everyone's life is different. We have all walked different pathways, different threads. And, you know, if we look at the web of life, if we insert the idea that the web of life is the grandest spider web that we will ever have the blessing to walk upon, each of those threads that are woven together could not be done without every single one of us engaging with life. It is the tapestry of life that we are dancing with, and when we withdraw ourselves from life, the tapestry cannot continue weaving itself quite so powerfully. So we owe it not only to ourselves, but we also owe it to those around us, which aren't just the human beings. We owe it to the plants, we owe it to the land, we owe it to the nature spirits. We owe it to each and every one of us, everyone, animate and inanimate objects, to show up fully, wholeheartedly, with our entire thread of our being, to continue weaving the web of life together. So we are both similar, the same, yet we are different. And it is within our differences that the web has so much beauty woven into it. And that's where our creativity comes from. It is where our evolution comes from. So, my darling, there are two ways of connecting more deeply with your spirit allies, by connecting with the physical animal. And obviously this is in reference to one spirit allies who have an animal counterpart. And as a little side note here, remember that spirit shows up in the form that we need to see them in, but that may not be the form that is their true form. So for example, I work with grandmother spider. That does not mean that I am working with the animal form, the insect form. I am working with a spirit who has arrived in the form of a spider. And she has arrived in the form of a spider because the story that I understand of spider in my three-dimensional realm, in this middle world plane, she has arrived in that form because she has chosen those threads, those stories of the way that spider expresses itself in my human world. And therewith, she has crafted a platform where I am able to understand the lessons, the messages, the symbols, the metaphors that she is bringing to my life. Because I have set out on my pilgrimage to understand more about the insect of spider. That doesn't mean that the spirit is actually a spider. She is so much more. And of course, I refer to her as grandmother spider. And that does not also mean that she is a human being. She is a consciousness. She is a creation story. She is so much more than our little minds can perceive. And for me, as an artist, as a seer, as a modern mystic, as a woman who dances with medicine, I find the mystery of that knowledge soul nourishing. For without mystery, would not life be flat? Would it not be tasteless, senseless? We need the mystery in our lives. So, there is never going to be one answer or one way to engaging with spirit, your life, a particular relationship. We are all simply bouncing ideas and experiences back off each other. And of course, we can learn from the old ones, the holy people, the old ways, the elders of our community. We can learn from them, and that we should. We must delve into the wells of our consciousness, of our soul, the soul well, to retrieve the hidden wisdom that we have simply forgotten we have access to. So, my final point, I guess, that I'd like to share with you in connecting with spirits that we may choose to work with within the medicine wheel. Start to use all of your senses. Some people have a way of working with hearing, with sight, with taste, with smell. One of those senses will be more predominant than the other. But I find, and I found this early on in my journey, that if you don't play with those senses, you never get to experience whether you have a gift in those areas. So I would encourage you, when, for instance, you are witnessing, for example, spider in our ordinary reality, use all of your senses to connect with, to witness, to see. So as you are witnessing the spider making its web, what are you seeing? What are you truly seeing with your eyes? In that moment, what are you feeling? What are you feeling as you watch that spider quickly, and sometimes really quite fast, making their webs? Have you got a particular smell in that moment? Do you have a particular taste in your mouth as you are experiencing that spider? What are you hearing? What is happening in that moment? Maybe something is happening next door. Maybe something else happens in your environment whilst you are witnessing that spider. So this is about, really, like a flower, you are opening all of your petals to say, I'm ready to receive this information. I'm ready to be the student of life. And in that moment, you are the student of the spider, because you are connecting with it by allowing yourself to be present, so wholly present with that particular item, with that particular expression of the universe. You're giving it your attention, and your intention is to learn. What we need to start with when we open all of our senses is not to judge the response that you have. So say you start to smell lemon, for example. Maybe you start to hear the child next door giggling as you are watching the web getting bigger and bigger and bigger. These are ways that spirit, including our souls, it's not always something external to us. These are the ways that spirit, the oracle of life, begins to speak and communicate with us, but only if we quieten ourselves just enough to hear, see, sense, smell, taste. So don't judge what arrives. Let it just settle in your system and go, that was interesting. I'm curious about that smell. I'm curious about the sound of that child laughing, giggling, having fun. Let it settle. Let it marinate in your system. And I can guarantee, if you have spent enough time in presence with that spirit in physical reality, you will find that over the following days, even the following months, even the following years, maybe, messages of understanding the symbolism of the web will come to you if you are committed to showing up, to being present with those particular elements that are showing up in your life. And when you arrive at a point where you've built that strong bond, that relationship with those animals, with those spirits, whatever it is, even if it's, I intend to build a relationship with this, I could journey and spend time being present with this particular power object, learning about it. It doesn't have to be an animal of sorts. But when we have arrived at a point where we've spent that time, everything will take dedication, commitment. It doesn't happen overnight. Although miracles do happen, but I think, being human, we must recognize that we must dedicate time and heartfelt presence to these activities if we want to gain a deeper understanding of life. When we arrive at that point, then I would just about guarantee that when you decide to call in that spirit to assist you in this medicine wheel, in this circle of life, you're about to embark on a very precious journey, a pilgrimage, or you're about to do some healing work for yourself or another, and you'd like those protective, strong, safe, healing forces to stand strong with you. When you call that spirit in after you have built that relationship, I guarantee you will find that the essence of what they impart to you, what they impart to your circle, will be that much more powerful, because you will feel what they are saying, you will sense what they are speaking, you will sense what they are singing into your sweet ears. There will be a time where you will recognize that, yes, I have built a strong foundation and friendship with this particular spirit, and it is mutual, it is balanced, it is in harmony. We never call in spirits expecting them to do anything for us. We must have respect for them in their time, their love, their dedication, their commitment to what they have chosen to do in this lifetime. And it is about reciprocity. So remember, what are you giving back? And my encouragement to everyone is, before you take, give back by spending time in presence with those particular spirits first. Get to know them, introduce yourself, witness, watch, and be with them, before you start asking, I want this, this, and this, and this, and this. No, we're not meant to rock up and ask for what we want, because we never get what we want. We usually get what we need. Anyway, my darlings, I have spent a long time talking on this topic, and it's been a pleasure exploring these topics with you, and I look forward to the next Ask SoulBird session. And if you'd like me to talk upon a particular topic that is dear to your heart, then please pop it in the comments below, and I will do my best to craft another in-depth conversation and exploration of these topics with you, alongside you, next to this heart fire. All my love. Thank you for listening.